Everyone, welcome back to the prequel series of White House's Red Sun, and the series explores Red's adventure through Kanto, and let me get into it. So after beating Surge and convincing him to leave his Team Rocket Pass behind, Red would immediately know where the closest gym was. Being Saffron City, knew the easiest way to get to it was by using the St. Anne, a ferry conveniently located near to Vermilion City, as he would make his way to the port and get inside of the ferry. As when he made his way inside, he would see his rival Blue, as Blue wanted to test who was stronger, would battle Red, as Red would send out his Pikachu, as Blue would use Pidgeotto. Pikachu would begin to throw up its electricity to use an attack, as he would begin to use a Thunderbolt, but before it could hit, Blue would strategically switch it out for Execute, as Execute would tank the attack with not much damage done to it. As Execute would then go for a Sleep Powder to put Pikachu to sleep, as would then use a Mega Drain to absorb all of the extra damage that it took from the Thunderbolt, as a lot of its health would be replenished. As it would use Confusion, which would damage Pikachu and smash it all over the place, as it would use the Confusion to hurt Pikachu even further. The pain would cause Pikachu to wake up, as it would then flare its electricity, which would disperse the psychic energy, so then use a Quick Attack, which would do decent damage, as it would use Quick Attack again to avoid the Bullet Seed, and constantly Execute with a lot of Thunderbolts, with a lot of high voltage electricity, as this would do a lot of damage, as it would then finish off Execute with a Quick Attack. This time, Blue would send out Kadabra, as when Pikachu went for a Quick Attack, Kadabra would use its psychic energy to stop Pikachu right in its tracks, and then use Confusion, which would knock out Pikachu. Instead, Red would send out Poliwag, as Poliwag would use a water gun on Kadabra, as Kadabra would use Confusion, which would slam Poliwag all over the place for a lot of damage, as it would use its psychic energy to even hurt Poliwag further. This would knock down Poliwag, as after a while, Poliwag would get up, as it would then use a Whirlpool, which would do decent damage, and it would stop Kadabra in its tracks, but while it was stopped, it would use a Psybeam to do decent damage, as Poliwag would respond with multiple Bubble Beams, which would slow down Kadabra, as it would then use multiple Double Slaps to do quite some damage to Kadabra, as eventually Kadabra would be knocked out, as its defense wasn't very strong, so it was able to take such high intensity physical attacks like that. As then, Poliwag would get back into its battle position, as the experience it gained from beating Kadabra would cause it to evolve into Poliwhirl, as Blue would then send out his Wartortle, his own water type Pokemon, as it would use a withdrawal to tank all of the double slaps that it was barraged with, as they wouldn't be effective, as it was in its shell taking all the damage, as it would then begin to use its Cold Bash, as defenses would increase, as the pure energy of the move would send back Poliwag, as it would then launch itself towards Poliwhirl and knock it out. As a response, Red would then send in his strongest Pokemon, Charmeleon, as Charmeleon would use multiple Metal Claws, which would slash Wartortle for decent damage, as Charmeleon's attack would be increased by this. Instead, Wartortle would use a Water Gun, which would knock back Charmeleon, as Charmeleon would then go for a Fire Spin, which would burn Wartortle, as Wartortle would then use a Bubble Beam, which would do a lot of damage. Instead, Charmeleon would respond with Metal Claws, which would knock out Wartortle. As Red would turn his Tartar, as Blue would be shocked that he lost, as he thought that Wartortle with its attack advantage would win like it did at the lab, as he would then say, that it's unbelievable that he lost to Red, and that Water beat Red's Charmeleon at the lab, and that the type advantage should have been able to allow it to win. As Red would say that Blue shouldn't complain that he's just a better trainer, as this would get under Blue's skin. But he knew that there was a bit of some truth to what Red was saying, so he'd just walk away. As many hours later, after all the festivities of the St. Anne were over, Red would go into his room to sleep. As when he made his way into his room, he would see a girl with an Ivysaur, as the Ivysaur was carrying multiple Pokeballs from multiple trainers. As Red would question the girl what she was doing, as the girl, who you know to be Leaf, would say that she was doing nothing, but Red would immediately know what she was doing, and that she was stealing people's stuff. As he would then send in his Eevee to use multiple Swifts, which would knock the Pokeballs out of Ivysaur's Vine Whips, as Leaf would then think that she thought no one was up, and that no one should have been up, and that makes no sense to Red's up in this time. As then, Ivysaur would use multiple Razor Leafs on Eevee, which would do decent damage, as Eevee would use a quick attack for decent damage, as Ivysaur would then use multiple Vine Whips, which would slap Eevee a lot and hurt it. As while the Vine Whips were attacking Eevee, he would charge a Solar Beam, as then, when the Solar Beam launched, Eevee responded with Swift, as this caused an explosion. As when the dust settled, Leaf, the Pokeballs and Ivysaur were completely gone, as Ash would return his Eevee, annoyed that he wasn't able to stop the thief. As the next day, he would go and immediately call Professor Oak about what had happened, as he would describe Leaf and her appearance and everything that she did, as he would say that she had blue socks, white and red shoes, a red skirt, yellow bag, a light blue shirt, a white and red hat, as he would say that she was a thief, as Oak would immediately know that because she had an Ivysaur, she was the thief who stole the Bulbasaur, and that Oak would then write this information down and would tell Red that he was going to report it to the police. But in reality, Oak was just writing tabs on her, that he wasn't going to report it to anyone, and that he was going to keep it to only himself and Red at the moment. As then, Oak would then ask Red how many badges he had, as Red would say he had 3, as Oak would say that he's progressing very well along with Blue, and that he's incredibly powerful for the level that he's at. As then, Red would make his way to Saffron City, as he would be interested to check out its fighting dojo, as he would meet the black belt Koichi, who was one of Kyo's many senseis, as normally in the Kanto story, Kyo is the black belt, as this guy at the time was managing the dojo. As then, he would use his Hitmonchan, as Ash would use Red, as Pikachu would use a quick attack which would knock back Hitmonchan, as Hitmonchan would go for a power-up punch, which would knock back Pikachu for decent damage, as the attack would be increased, as the static from Pikachu would paralyze it, as Pikachu would go for a Thunderbolt for a lot of damage, as because of paralyzation will be a sitting duck, which allow Pikachu to finish it off with a quick attack. Then, Koichi would send out his Hitmonlee, as Hitmonlee would then go for a high jump kick, which would knock back Pikachu for a lot of damage, as Pikachu would respond to a Thunderbolt for decent damage. And because of Hitmonlee's nimble, it would be affected by the paralyzation, so it would be okay. Instead, it would use multiple double kicks, which would knock out Pikachu. As Red would then send out his Poliwhirl, so Poliwhirl would barrage Hitmonlee with multiple Pole Beams, which would slow it down and do decent damage. Instead, Poliwhirl would then slap Hitmonlee multiple times with double slaps, which would knock out Hitmonlee. Instead, Koichi would thank Red for the battle and say that After this, he's going to close down the dojo, that he's grateful that Red was the final battle that he had, and that he's going to go on a training adventure all over the Pokemon world to come stronger, and maybe he might reopen the dojo someday. As Red would then leave Saffron City and decide to go to the gym. As when he walked into the gym, he would see outside it said that one of the traders who had won the badge was blue, as this would motivate Red to do even better. And when he walked in, he would see a very strange situation. He would see a man being slammed all over the place by a psychic toddler, as the toddler would use the psychic powers to hurt the man with, as it seemed like the man and the toddler were having a psychic battle. As Red would send out Charmeleon to go and help the man, as it would disperse the psychic energy using an ember, as the man would fall to the floor knocked out. As then Red would question if the man was okay, as he would see that the man was unconscious, as he would then turn around and ask the girl who we know to be Sabrina why she did that, as the girl would then say that the man was stopping her from having her fun, and that she wants to put him in the dollhouse and have fun. As then Red would say that they both look similar and that he's her father, and Sabrina would say that she doesn't care if he's her father or not, and that he was in her way. As this man at this point in time would be the Saffron City gym leader, the man that Blue beat to get the master badge. As Ash would then deduce that he also had psychic powers and that he passed them over to his daughter Sabrina, and decided that he needed to stop her. As Sabrina would then use psychic powers to send Red back, as she said that she was going to have a psychic battle with Red because he was in her way, and that she was going to put him in the dollhouse along with that man over there. And Sabrina wouldn't know that that was her father, as the psychic abilities had kind of made her go a bit mad, as she would use her psychic powers to hurt Red, as Charmeleon would instinctively use an ember to stop Sabrina from harming his trainer, as Sabrina would then send out Abra, which would send the ember back on Charmeleon for decent damage, as Sabrina would then say that if Red was going to make it about Pokemon, it would then be a Pokemon battle, as Charmeleon would then use a Metal Claw to get rid of the psychic energy on Red, as it would launch towards Abra with a Metal Claw, as Abra would then stop it in its tracks with a psychic, as this would damage Charmeleon a lot, as the psychic would hurt Charmeleon, as there would then be psychic energy put around the neck of Charmeleon, so Charmeleon would almost not be able to breathe and wouldn't be able to use any flamethrowers or fire spits. I mean, not flamethrowers, but embers. As Charmeleon would be hurt, as the damage would then cause Charmeleon to awaken its blaze ability and disperse all of the psychic energy. As then, Charmeleon would learn a new move from the pressure that it just undergone, and the new move would be a flamethrower, which would instantly knock out Abra, as Abra had been knocked out, and that because Abra and Sabrina were psychically linked, Sabrina would also be unconscious, so Charmeleon would collapse from the pure strain of using such power, as Red would return his starter Pokemon and would be happy about what it did, as he would note that Abra was far stronger than Blue's Kadabra, even though it was less evolved, as the man being Sabrina's father and being the current gym leader, who I'm going to call Baron since he doesn't have a name in the original timeline, would congratulate Ash and thank him for beating his daughter, and would say that she's a much more powerful psychic than him, and that she is a decent battler when she gets into that psychic mode and she begins acting all crazy, and that when she wakes up and is normal, she's not going to remember this interaction because she's quite young, but that he's very grateful for this, and that for his efforts, Red should be given the master badge. As Red would then leave after thanking the man, as he would then make his way to Lavender Town. As in Lavender Town, Red would be surrounded by multiple trainers, as the trainers would state that Mr. Fuji was in the Pokemon Tower, and that Team Rocket was in the tower doing Arceus knows what, and that Mr. Fuji went there to go and make peace with them, and he just held him hostage, and that there's a ghost in the Pokemon Tower scaring people away, and that they need to get Mr. Fuji back, as the ghost could hurt him, and Team Rocket could hurt him too. Instead, Ash would ask about the ghost and if anyone knew about the ghost, as they would then say that the ghost could have been a Marowak that was the mother of a local Cubone that is being looked after by Mr. Fuji, and that the Cubone also went into the tower for a mysterious reason with Mr. Fuji, and that the Marowak was killed by Team Rocket, and that the Marowak could be the ghost in the Pokemon Tower, and that they need Mr. Fuji to be safe, and they need Red's help, as Red would understand what he needed to do and make his way to the Pokemon Tower, where he would encounter a visibly terrified Blue, as Red would question what he's doing there, as Blue shakingly would then say, I'm looking for Mr. Fuji, but Red would then ask then why isn't he in higher places of the Pokemon Tower, as Blue would then shakingly say, none of your business, as then Red would immediately know that Blue was scared, as Red would then taunt him and say, is he scared of a little ghost? As this would immediately get under Blue's skin, as he would then send out Growlithe to sign to battle, saying that he's not scared of no ghosts. As Eevee would then use a quick attack on Growlithe, as Growlithe responded with an Ember, decent damage, as Eevee then used multiple Swifts for decent damage, as Growlithe would then use a Fire Wheel on Eevee for decent damage, as Eevee would then use a Double Edge, which would knock out Growlithe, but the recoil damage would be a lot. As Red would then say that that was a new move that he didn't know Eevee had, and that the Double Edge was an instinctive move. As then, Blue would send out his Pidgeotto, as when Eevee went for a Double Edge, Pidgeotto would duck the attack and use a Wing Attack, which would knock out Eevee. As when Pikachu got sent out, Blue, like last time, would switch in his Pidgeotto, as the Pidgeotto would avoid the Thunderbolt just in time, as Blue would then send out his Execute, but this time he would make sure that Execute wouldn't resist the attack, as this time Red would copy Blue's strategy and would quickly switch out Charmeleon, who would take the Razor Leaf, and before Blue could react, Charmeleon would use a Flamethrower, which would instantly knock out Execute. As then, Red would return his Charmeleon, as Blue would then tauntingly say that Red is now copying his strategies, and that he's the better trainer. But Red would say that if he was the better trainer, he would have won in the same arrow, as this would aggravate Blue even further, as he would then send out his Pidgeotto, as Red would send out his Poliwhirl, as Poliwhirl would use multiple Bubble Beams on Pidgeotto, which would slow it down, as Poliwhirl would then slap it multiple times with Double Slap for decent damage, as Pidgeotto would then send back Poliwhirl with a Gust for decent damage, as Poliwhirl would then use a Water Gun for decent damage on Pidgeotto, as Poliwhirl would then go for a Double Slap, which would be strategically knocked by Pidgeotto, as Pidgeotto would use a Wing Attack for decent damage and finish off Poliwhirl with a Gust. As then, Red would then send in his Pikachu, and Blue would know that it was unavoidable, that Pikachu was unavoidable, and that just sending in Wartortle would set up Wartortle to get KO'd as well. That was better to keep Pidgeotto in, as Pikachu would then use an Electrified attack, which would knock out Pidgeotto. As Blue would then send out his final Pokemon, being Wartortle, as Pikachu would immediately go for the finishing blow, being a Thunderbolt, as Blue would then command his Wartortle to use a withdrawal withdraw and take the full brunt of the attack, as the electricity would slowly begin to seep into the shell of Water Tool until it actually hit Water Tool for super effective damage, as this did so much damage to Water Tool that it would awaken its torrent ability, as it would then use a Hydro Pump, which would instantly knock out Pikachu. As then Red would send in his Charmeleon. Charmeleon would go for multiple Metal Claws, as to do not too much against Water Tool, as Water Tool would then use its Hydro Pump, which would seemingly knock out Charmeleon. As Blue would then tauntingly say that this time he's the better trainer, and that the St. Anne win for Red was just a fluke, as Red would be about to return his Tartar, but heat would then begin to surround the Pokemon Tower, as the ground would begin to shake throughout every floor, as even the floor of Team Rocket and Mr. Fuji would even feel this event, as Charmeleon would stand up, and even more heat would emanate, as then it would cause a massive fiery explosion, as then Charmeleon's Blaze was activated, as Charmeleon would go for a Flavor to do decent damage onto Water Tool, as Water Tool would then use a Hydro Pump that would have knocked out Charmeleon if it just stayed there, but Charmeleon was fast enough to move out of the way of the attack, so then use a Fiery Metal Claw, which would knock out Water Tool. As Red would then return his Tartar, as Blue would be frustrated that he lost, and said that Red keeps getting away with lucky wins, as he would then say that Red shouldn't have won that battle at all, and that Red is just so much luck, as he would then leave, and Red would think to himself that Blue is such a coward, that he couldn't even go and help Mr. Fuji. He just stood there in the tower scared, like a little boy. As then, Red would immediately make it to the top floor, where he would see the ghost of Marowak with its little Cubone in its arms, as Marowak was threatening the Team Rocket Grunts, as the Team Rocket Grunts was scared, knowing that Marowak was going to get his revenge on them. As Ash immediately Red would know that Marowak was going to kill the Team Rocket Grunts, as before Marowak could do anything, Red would then call its name, as Marowak would turn around, as Red would then say that revenge isn't the way, and that it should just let the Team Rocket Grunts go and live their lives, as Marowak would then be angry, and would say in Pokemon Talk that they took it away from its baby, Cubone, and that they killed it. As Red would say that he knows what happened, but that ultimately all Marowak would be doing would be stooping down to the level of the Team Rocket Grunts. As Ash would then say that they're scared, and that isn't win enough, as Marowak has shown its dominance over them. As the scared Team Rocket Grunts would run out of the Pokemon Tower, taking the opportunity when Ash was talking to Marowak to escape strategically. As Marowak would then realize that Red was right, and that its baby is safe and happy, as it would then depart to the other world, or to the next life, knowing that its descendant, its child, was alright. As then Mr. Fuji would smile under the tape, as Cubone would then take the tape from Mr. Fuji's face, as Mr. Fuji would immediately thank Red for his kind action and for saving him and Cubone. Not saving Cubone, but for saving him and getting rid of Team Rocket. As Red would then say that Marowak is the one who chased off Team Rocket, as Team Rocket was scared that he doesn't think that they'll be coming back anytime soon because of Marowak. As Mr. Fuji would then say that he must gift Ash for doing such an amazing thing and helping out the city with the Marowak problem and with Team Rocket, as he would give Ash a Poké Flute, and would say that because of what Ash did, helping him and the town get rid of Team Rocket, he deserves some gift, and that is the only gift that he'll be able to give Ash, and that is probably going to be valuable in the future. As then, Ash would leave the Pokemon Tower and make his way to Celadon City, where he would smell perfume. Red would absolutely despise the smell of perfume, as he thought it was artificial and disgusting, like his son in the future. As he was making his way to the Celadon gym, where he would smell even stronger perfume, as he would cover his nose. As when Erica walked out to greet him, she would immediately notice this and would ask what the problem was. As Red would say that it was the perfume and that it smelled all artificial and disgusting and that he hated it. This would immediately offend Erica, as she would then ask what Red's problem was with perfume, as he said that those who wear perfume are smelly and they need something to make them smell nice, when they should just go bathe, and that it was all artificial and fake and that he didn't like it. And this would immediately offend Erica, as she would then assault Red and put a cross on his face as she was annoyed at him. She would then make her way back into her gym, as Red would then be annoyed, as Erica would then say that she had also banned Red from the gym. As when Red got up, he would go to the nearest fountain and wash his face, and think that Erica is such a closed-minded individual, not allowing others to have their own opinions about certain things, and that he was going to sneak into that gym and get his gym badge if it's the last thing he does. As Red won't have a flying Pokemon in this scenario, so won't be able to do what his son would do in the future and fly to the top of the Vileplume flower and sneak through the top hole of the Vileplume flower. But he'll come with another solution, as he would scan the gym for a little while and find that there is a few secret doors, as he would use the secret door that was the quickest, as he would then make his way inside of the gym. Erica would be annoyed to see him and say that he's just an ignorant person and that she doesn't want him to be in the gym. Instead, Red would respond by saying that he is a trainer and that it's his right to go and challenge whatever gyms he wants, and that it's Erica's right to accept his challenge, and that his opinions on perfume should determine if he should battle in this gym. As Erica would say that she was going to humble Red and put him in his place, as she would then immediately send out her strongest Pokemon, as Red would send out his task Pokemon Charmeleon. Erica would think that Red was inexperienced and would think that she would crush him with her strongest Pokemon and humble him. So before she could do anything, Red would just call for a flamethrower, which would instantly knock out Gloom, as this would prove that Red was far stronger than she thought. And because at this time Erica was a newbie gym leader, she was very cocky and she was very impulsive and she wasn't very strong. But she didn't know that at the time, and she thought she was better than normal trainers passing by, as she would reluctantly give Ash the badge, as Ash would then take the badge and immediately walk out, not liking the smell of perfume, as the Celadon gym was full of perfume. As Erica would scowl at him angrily, thinking that she would like to get that little boy one day and deal with him, as he was annoying. Then Red would leave the Celadon gym, as he would then make his way to the cycling road to get to Fuchsia and battle Koga and deal with him and cause him to leave Team Rocket like he did with Surge, as he would encounter a sleeping Snorlax, as he would then realize that the Poké was probably useful for this, as he would then bring out the Poké and begin to play a few notes terribly, as Red wasn't a musical individual, as after playing for a little while, it would abruptly wake up Snorlax, and Snorlax being in a terrible mood, as the Poké wasn't very soothing, and that it was sleeping, and that it was an abrupt awakening. As then, Red would send out his strongest Pokemon to combat Snorlax, as he would sense that Snorlax was incredibly powerful, as Charmeleon would then narrowly avoid a Hyper Beam, as then it would go for a Fire Spin, which would do any damage to Snorlax, as he would then go for a Flamethrower, which would burn Snorlax, but there wouldn't be any serious damage done to Snorlax, as Snorlax would then use a Rest, which, to Red's surprise, would heal all of the health that had been depleted and would remove all of the status effects. As then, Snorlax would be fine, as after a while it would wake up and would then immediately knock out Charmeleon with a Giga Impact. As Snorlax wasn't even breaking a sweat with the Giga Impact, as Ren would immediately know that Snorlax was far beyond him, and that Snorlax was a bit too dangerous to just be left in the wild for trainers who were just going to the cycling road. As Snorlax would then sleep again, as Ren would then use this as the prime opportunity to throw a Pokeball. As the Pokeball would encapsulate Snorlax, as Ren would pray to Arceus that the Pokeball catches Snorlax, as he knew that if it got out of the Pokeball, it would be very angry at him for trying to catch it. Instead, the Pokeball would shake and shake and shake, as it would work, as Snorlax would be and Snorlax would be caught, as Ren would be incredibly happy and relieved, as he would then make his way onto the cycling road. And because Ren didn't have a bike, he looked quite awkward walking on the cycling road compared to everyone else, but he didn't care, as he would make his way to the Fuchsia gym. As in the Fuchsia gym, he would immediately barge in, knowing that it was Koga who was here, and he wanted to go and deal with Koga. As Koga would then respond and would say that he was the brat from Mount Moon who was trying to stop the Moonstone operation. As then Ren would say that he did, and that Koga was no better than any of the other Team Rocket grunts, and that he was supposed to be a gym leader, and instead he turned to a life of crime behind the scenes and decided to work with Team Rocket. As Ren would question why Koga even did that, as Koga would say that the gym leader's salary wasn't enough for the life that he wanted to live, that it was way better with Team Rocket, and that the leader was a very rich man with a lot of money, and that the man would be able to pay for any expenses that Koga had, as long as he worked for him. As Ren would then say that he chose money over being a decent human being, living a clean life, and that Koga has truly fallen from grace, and that he's not a good man anymore. As this would annoy Koga, as the common got under his skin, as he sent out a Venomoth, as Ren would then test out Snorlax, as Snorlax would then tank the Psybeam quite easily, as he would then use a Hyper Beam which would instantly knock out Venomoth. As Snorlax would need to be recharged, so Ren would then return his Snorlax, as he would then send out his Charmeleon to battle against Golbat, as he knew Charmeleon wanted his revenge from what happened in Mount Moon, where Golbat absolutely beat him terribly. So Charmeleon would give Golbat a death stare, knowing that it was going to beat him, as he would be incredibly angry to see Golbat, and would stare angrily, knowing that it was going to destroy Golbat if it was the last thing it did. Because Charmeleon would immediately go for the strongest flamethrower that's ever charged up, to knock back Golbat for a lot of damage, as Golbat would then respond with a real attack with decent damage. As then Charmeleon would put everything into a flurry of Metal Claws to do a lot of damage to Golbat and increase the attack of Charmeleon. As then Charmeleon would be hit with Sludge Bomb, which would poison it and slightly put it at a disadvantage. As then Golbat would go for a Steel Wing, as then Charmeleon would go for its Metal Claws, and then trade moves together to then both do decent damage to each other and hurt each other a lot. As then they would clash with Flamethrower and Hyper Beam, as the clash would go for a long while. As then Charmeleon would then remember how humiliatingly it lost to Golbat, as it would then put more power into its flamethrower, which would then cause a massive explosion. Instead, when the dust settled, Golbat was out and Charmeleon was still standing, as its will to beat Golbat allowed it to still stand and win the battle. As Koga would then ashamed return his Pokemon, as Golbat was strongest. as Ash would then return this. As then, Red would then say that he'll give Koga an offer like how he gave Surge. Either he turns himself in and forgets about the whole Team Rocket thing and doesn't mention it to everybody and pretends like he was never in Team Rocket and moves on with his life, or Red goes and reports him and Surge's life falls apart and that Surge will never be able to be an Elite Four member, and that he knows about how Surge has been trying for years to become Elite Four. As this comment will get under Surge's skin, but he would then realize that it would be more beneficial for him to just be a gym leader and make it into the Elite Four than just work behind the scenes with a criminal syndicate that could eventually get caught by the police. Instead, Surge would then look at the Team Rocket logo on his boots, as he would think about it for a while. As then, he would throw the logo off, as he would decide that Red was right, and would give Red the soul badge, and say that Red was correct, and that he was right. As then, Red would smile, and would shake Surge's hand, and would say that he's glad to have Surge back. As he would then leave the Fuchsia gym, and make his way to Grandpa Canyon, where the ports to Cinnabar Island were. As like in the current timeline of this multiverse or universe, there were ports at Grandpa Canyon that led to Cinnabar Island, and in Red's time, there was there. As Red would make his way to Grandpa Canyon, where he would meet a Blue who was trying to dig some fossils up and get a powerful Pokemon to beat Red. As Red would then meet Blue, as Blue would then ask what Red was doing here, as Red would then say that he was on his way to Cinnabar Island. As Blue would then say that he already got the badge and he just came here to just go and get a few fossil Pokemon and get even stronger and prove that he is far superior to Red. As then, Blue would say that Charmeleon is powerful, but this time, it ain't gonna stop him. As he would then send out a fully evolved Blastoise. As he would then say that the Cinnabar gym, Wartortle was able to push itself to its limits and evolve into Blastoise and absolutely destroy Blaine, and that now he's going to destroy Ash and Charmeleon, and that Wartortle and that Blastoise is not going to lose. As when Charmeleon went for multiple Metal Claws, would barely do anything to Blastoise, as even though its attack had increased, Blastoise wasn't even affected, as Blastoise would go for a Hydro Pump, which would take out almost all of Charmeleon's health. As when Charmeleon went for a Flamethrower, it would knock back Blastoise, releasing damage, as Blue would then be surprised that Charmeleon was even still standing, as he would ask how Charmeleon is still standing. As Red would then say that his Charmeleon was an incredibly powerful Pokemon, and that it grows at an incredibly fast rate, and that even now that Blastoise is fully evolved, it won't be able to beat him and Charmeleon. As then, Red would go for Metal Claw, which would be quickly outmaneuvered by Blastoise, who would knock the attack and go for a full power Hydro Pump, as with all the water that it had in its system, as it would put even more highly pressured water right onto Charmeleon, which would seemingly knock out Charmeleon. As this time, Blue would know that Charmeleon could still get up, as he would then charge as Combat to finish off Charmeleon, as Blastoise's defense would be increased, as it would then begin to launch itself towards Charmeleon, but Charmeleon would then get up in time, as then it would block and stop Blastoise from Metal Claw, as it would then begin to glow in a fiery aura, as it would then begin to grow in size, as the heat would develop it even further, as it would begin to grow, as it would then begin to sprout wings, as it would evolve into Charizard. and Blue would be frustrated that he had even gotten stronger. Instead, Charizard would immediately go for a new move as he would fly towards Blastoise and take it right up into the sky, as he would then use a seismic toss and spin Blastoise all over, as he would then smash Blastoise right into the ground, which would knock it out, as Blue would be incredibly angry and frustrated, saying that even though Blastoise evolved, it's still lost, and that this must be a fluke, and that there's no way that it lost even after its evolution. Instead, the ground will begin to shake as Blue, Ash, Blastoise and Charizard would fall right down below, right down to where the prehistoric Pokemon were, as the force of the seismic toss had caused the ground to crack, as this would cause everyone to fall down. A few moments later, Red would stand up along with Charizard as they were awake, as Blue and Blastoise were still knocked out. Instead, Red and Charizard would explore the prehistoric area even further, as they would then see an egg. As then, the egg would begin to glow as it would hatch into an Aerodactyl. And Red had always wanted an Aerodactyl, so he would quickly catch the hatchling. As then, a bigger, angrier Aerodactyl would immediately fly towards Red, as he would use an ancient power on Charizard, which would do decent damage. Charizard would then respond with a flamethrower, which would do a lot of damage to Aerodactyl, as this would then knock back Aerodactyl and stun it, as then Red would then immediately go back to the area that Blue and Blastoise were, as he would then wake them up and say that they had to leave. As then, Charizard would then prepare to get everyone on its back, as everyone including Blastoise would tug onto Charizard, as Blastoise would be incredibly heavy, so it'd be tough for Charizard, but it'd be able to fly out and avoid any further altercations from within the prehistoric Pokemon area. As from flying out, it will cause a lot of rubble to block the massive hole and crater that had been caused by the seismic toss, meaning that no prehistoric Pokemon could ever get out from that place ever again, unless another event like this happened in like 18 years, where their descendants battled like this. Instead, Charizard would then roar, as it had put a lot of energy into that and it expelled a lot of energy, as Blue would then angrily stare at Charizard and Red with a lot of envy, as he would then look towards his Blastoise and tell it that they're going to have to do a lot of training, as Blastoise would nod and stare at his rival Charizard. As then, Blastoise and Blue would leave, as Charizard and Red would celebrate the evolution and be happy together, as they would then leave as well, as down below, Aerodactyl would stare angrily at Red, thinking that Red took its baby, and that one day it was going to get its revenge on Red no matter what, as it would then begin the plot of ways to get its revenge. And I think this is where I should leave it here, and I really enjoyed making this part as it took a lot of effort. And anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.